Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Political Talk to JB. I am your host, Julian Boykin, and tonight I am joined by Mr. Pat Bishop, candidate for Lieutenant Governor representing the great state of Alabama. Pat, thank you for joining me tonight. How are you doing?
Doing outstanding, sir. Thank you for having me.
Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your background, and what has you campaigning for Lieutenant Governor.
Okay, a little bit about Pat Bishop. Born and raised in Birmingham, a small area called, let's just say, Kingston, Alabama. Went to Jones Valley High School, and then I went to Ramsey High School. When I left Ramsey High School, I went to basic training in airborne school, the Army. Got to Fort Bragg, North Carolina on a Friday. That Monday morning, I was in Saudi Arabia. Like, what just happened? The fastest weekend of my life. Of course, that was Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Had a very successful military career, served 26 years, retired in 2017. But also prior to that, in 1996, I joined the Birmingham Police Department. So how that works out is I left the Army in 1996 due to my parents becoming very ill. So I left the military, came home, take care of them. City of Birmingham was hiring. I became Birmingham police officer, which I loved. After 9/11, I went back on active duty as a commissioned officer. And I did a lot of time in signal warfare, special operations, and anti-terrorism. I retired in 2017, like I said previously. Came back home to Birmingham. I retired in July. In August, I started Birmingham School of Law. Graduated in 2021. I became a full-time mediator for a while. I currently now work for the Coleman County Sheriff's Department. So I been pretty busy, and I decided to run for office, and here we are.
So let's talk about crime in Alabama. We have our fair share of crime. Certain cities, crime rate is kind of low. Certain cities, it is through the roof. As a lieutenant governor, what's your plan on trying to reduce crime across the state of Alabama?
The issue with crime. Uh, there was a book called The Broken Window Effect. Broken window effect means that you start with the small things. You see a broken window, fix it. If you don't, you keep driving by, you'll start seeing one, two, three, four windows, then multiple windows being broken. But with that, we also have to make sure that we have the correct people in the right places, which are law enforcement officers. Now, that being said, with law enforcement, there are some challenges because we have law enforcement dealing with some issues on the street that we're not trained to deal with. For example, there are psychological issues that people on the street have that are committing crimes. Those people don't belong in prison. They belong somewhere where they can get the actual mental help they need. So it's all about dotting your I's, crossing the T's, and make sure our law enforcement can do what they need to do versus doing someone else's job.
So when we talk about mental health, is it possible for officers to go through some mental health training to be able to identify those issues, or is it a little bit deeper than just the surface level?
Both.
Okay.
There's various training you can go through to recognize. Now, keyword is recognize some issues. Give an example. If someone is having a psychological breakdown, you need to know whether or not that person is a veteran or what have you. And usually, if something happens, I'm gonna give an example in Coleman County. If something happens with a veteran, I actually get that call because a veteran only understands another veteran.
Gotcha.
Especially if they have PTSD or what have you, they call me for that due to multiple deployments I've been on where I've actually had soldiers that dealt with that. But we also have situations where you have those who have, I'm going to use the term, it's kleptomania. Kleptomania. It is a psychological disease.
Okay.
We have training to recognize that, get those people assistance as well. But there are credentials and certain certifications that we cannot get as law enforcement officers because, again, there's a lane of reducing crime and reacting to crime. Then those who come to the area of the crime, CSOs, community service officers, and assist. So it just depends. It's a dual sword.
So when we look at our young people and we try to figure out how do we create opportunities for our young people outside of college, vocational trade, workforce development, STEM programs, things of that nature. What is your plan as Lieutenant Governor on making sure that our young people have more than one option besides just going to college?
You just said it. You just said it. STEM programs, workforce development. Here's the key. Not everyone is going to Harvard or Yale, okay? It's not going to happen. Maybe everybody's not going to a JUCO or junior college, but we can have areas where they can focus on science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or what have you, or even welding, mechanics. We call that workforce development. Lawson State Community College, various other colleges, Alabama coastal colleges, have good programs. Calhoun College up north, very good programs on workforce development. They will make sure that these young people and some older people will be credentialed accordingly to make sure they can earn an honest living. Now, also, our STEM programs in Coleman County, they set the example. You have software developers, engineers, data scientists, healthcare professionals that come from these programs. You have K through 12 education, where the STEM program has summer camps, which I spoke about earlier today with my school. Have hands-on learning. You have pre-college. You have NASA opportunities. Keep in mind, Huntsville, Rocket Center. This is the best place for it. So we can make Alabama better if we dot the I's, cross the T's on these programs.
When we look at trying to help our young people and then we tap into agriculture, right now, young people are not going into agriculture to become farmers, to become, entrepreneurs just because I don't know, it's not fun, it's not exciting, it's not trending. How do we entice our young people to get into farming and become farmers and become small business owners for the state of Alabama?
So, for example, there are technical classes called agriculture engineering. Now, that's a specialized field that I've been made aware of that applies engineering, science, and technology. But at the same time, we have to make sure that our young people want to be interested in it. Farming used to be a family business. It still is, but our young people are kind of not want to get into farming. So we have to find a way to make them want to do this. Motivation. For example, salaries can range from anywhere from $84,000 to $92,000 a year. These are the things I find out. Even machine design. But we have to make sure we have programs available. So my plan is to reach out to our farmers around the state of Alabama to get our young people trained or to get them familiar with farming. A summer program, like I said earlier, these are the basic necessities of life. This is how we survive. If our young people don't get involved in farming, what happens? So we got to make sure
it's going to die.
Exactly.
When we talk about fiscal responsibility as a lieutenant governor, there are certain things that the people of Alabama expect. What does fiscal responsibility mean to you?
Fiscal responsibility. Let me give you an example. I want to put money into the pockets of the citizens, not take money out of it. But with that, there's also something called a fiduciary duty, which means that you have a responsibility to be the caretaker of the tax dollars of each and every Alabamian, which means you won't waste money. You're going to do what's right with it. There will be no overspending. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather a person sit in jail for 25 years for a marijuana charge that he sold because he didn't know how to earn a living? Or once that person serves a year or two, you let them get out for high school, GED, or trade to where now they're paying taxes. Which would you prefer?
I would rather them do a year for misdemeanor crime like that and be able to set them up while they're in there. Okay, let's try to find them a trade while they're currently incarcerated. Let's try to get them a GED if they don't have it already. So when they do get out, they are ready to make the right connections they've took a test for construction or welding or whatever the case may be, or even a cybersecurity certification to say, okay, hey, this person has their certification. They've already made contact with the company that they're going to be working for. They've already left the facility and they're on the bus headed to wherever they're going to be relocated or halfway house. Luckily the job they have for cybersecurity, it's a remote job. So guess what? They get to stay somewhere, not be high risk because you're going outside of your zone, things of that nature. But yeah, that definitely sounds like a better plan than sitting in jail for 15, 20 years just for a roach or a little dime bag. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. Now, that being said, the right person, the right place. Now, if you've been in jail for computer fraud, we're not going to teach you cybersecurity and put you back in the bank. That's not going to happen. So it's just all about dotting I's, crossing T's, put everybody in the right place. Just making sure that everyone has the ability to make an honest living. Recidivism happens because it appears that no one cares. And like I said, there's hypocrisy in that thing called the Alabama Department of Corrections because there's no correcting going on.
When we talk about leadership value, the people of Alabama right now, some may feel we don't have leadership. Some may feel we need leaders that will display accountability, be able to tell us the truth, even if it hurts, but don't take away our right to cope with pain or bad news. Prime example, if there's going to be job cuts, go ahead and tell me that ahead of time so I myself can determine how I cope with it, how I receive it, I'm able to adjust. If you tell me that ahead of time, I can make the necessary adjustments. So yes, I may have gotten laid off, but I was able to pick up a part-time job prior to getting laid off, as opposed to just having the rug pulled from up under me and I have nothing. Now I'm in panic mode. That's what I think a lot of people want when we talk about leadership values. They want to hear somebody speak and speak a language that resonates with the people. Like, talk to me about affordability. Talk to me about it and speak to me in a way that lets me know that you're concerned and you care. What does leadership values mean to you?
Again, one of the best things I have ever done in my life was join the military. The Army has core values, leadership. There's loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. You just said something. Tell you what needs to be told so you can prepare accordingly. You have to have integrity and personal courage to do that. But we have too many politicians that have sold their soul for votes and want to sugarcoat it and tell you what you want to hear to get your votes. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give it to you pretty much unfiltered to make sure you can make a formidable decision. I'll take care of yourself and your family. Now, that being said, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we're not taking money out of your pocket, like I said before. For example, I have two cars. One car, the tag cost $125. Other car, the tag may cost $280. Why is Alabama charging that much for a car tag?
Why does
it matter how much your car costs? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't pass common sense test. We have other states around us where tags cost $45, $50. If you have a personalized tag, you may pay an extra $5 or $10. But Alabama, they take you for everything for a simple thing like a car tag.
That's true. I think it's called an ad valorem tax, where
yes,
you're taxed based on what the state value
of
your
car.
Of your
exactly.
car.
Exactly.
Year, the make and model. I don't know if trim level plays a role.
So you're going to punish me because I have a Cadillac and not a Honda Civic. Is that fair?
Not fair at all.
Thank you. So I want to do away with that. Just small things like that, believe it or not, they make a difference. Grocery taxes, do away with it. Things that make sense.
Definitely. Grocery tax is definitely something that we need to look at. We need to figure out, okay, how much is it hurting, the people of Alabama to have a grocery tax? How much is it hurting our elderly, when it comes to having paying taxes on their home? Income tax is something we should look at in the state of Alabama.
Right.
I believe we should look at it. Healthcare. We need to look at healthcare. We need to look at access to healthcare in rural areas. How do we fix it? Because at the rate we're going, all we're going to do is just keep shutting down hospitals. So now Big Mama has to take an Uber just to get to the hospital because it's 2 hours away. Because waiting for an ambulance is a matter of life and death, and she won't survive. I don't believe that's right. So how do we fix that? What is your vision on that when it comes to the access to healthcare in rural areas?
Thank you. We have hospitals that have shut down all over this state. They're shutting down due to funds. But at the same time, for whatever reason, and no one's ever given me a good reason, because they don't want to expand Medicaid. Why? That doesn't pass common sense. Here's my thing. Hospitals count on all type of income. People say, well, why should we expand Medicaid? Well, for one, people need it. The hospitals need it. Keep in mind, I always talk about our veterans. There are several areas in this state to where there's not one veterans hospital. But what? There is a civilian hospital that the veteran can use if he has Medicaid. Yes, I support expanding Medicaid for that reason, because that's going to keep our rural health care open. It's common sense.
I agree with you. If people have additional questions, if they want to make a donation to your campaign, how can they get in contact with you?
I would ask that they go to bishopforbama.com. All of my contact information, all of the information for you to support us financially, everything is on bishopforbama.com. So I ask everyone to please go to my website and also go out and vote on May 19th. If you want a better Bama, vote for Bishop. Ask for the Bishop ballot. I am your best candidate. It's common sense.
Last question for you, sir. Why should the people of Alabama vote for you as the next lieutenant governor?
Because I honestly believe that people in Alabama and also a lot of people around this country, they're being taken advantage of by politicians. Those people that are called politicians. Those are people who will lie to you, tell you everything that you want to hear to get your vote, and you don't see them again until another 3.5 years. So they ask for your vote again. Vote for Pat Bishop. If you want honesty, integrity, selfless service, duty, personal courage. You want a military-minded person with common sense to go to Montgomery to fight for you. And I will never, ever sell my soul for a vote. When I sleep at night, I sleep peacefully. My phone number's out there. I want to hear from you. I want to talk to you. But again, understand, I will never lie to you about anything. If you ask me a question and I don't know, I will tell you, sir, ma'am, I don't know. Give me some time, get some information, and I promise I'll get back with you with some factual data. That's who you want to send to Montgomery.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pat Bishop, candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Alabama. Pat, thank you for your time and best of luck to you in your campaign.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. God bless.
No problem.